Hello and welcome to episode 39 of our Timberborn Update 6 Waterbeavers playthrough here in Cycle 44, Day 8. Last time, we had kind of a race against the clock to keep this 3rd district from flooding. It flooded a little bit, but the water's gone, and now everything is okay. We still have a little bit of time left in our temperate season, but I would like for it to be possible to have water in here without things going incredibly poorly. So we do have a little bit of stuff to take care of before it's too late. And based on your comments last episode, I think I'm going to take this lodge out and this lodge out and instead replace it with the pass-through lodge, even though it requires more stuff, because what that's going to allow us to do is come in here with a spiral staircase. And now we'll have access down here for something that will be very convenient and very necessary in a river bath for our beavers in this district. But of course, constructing all of this will just take time, and that's the way it goes. So, we have a deep water pump here so this district does not die of thirst. We've got a few things that we probably could and should optimize here, but the important thing is District 3 is operating, technically, and it's working. And it's, well, I guess working and operating are the same thing, but it's making glowing fluid, which we need for stuff we're trying to do. It's making, well, if it had strong alcohol, it would be making all this other stuff for all these different processes. But there's still a lot of problems we need to solve, and we're going to get there. But first, as the Day 9 dawns on us here, we do have a winner in our quest to rename District 2. I did run a poll past couple days, and the winner ended up being Downriver, which, well, I guess we could make this 2 words. That's what the thing was, if I can type correctly. That is from a user named NotaBeaver48. Enter key did not close that, so there we go. We'll just click on the OK button. That's fine. So now District 2 is known as Downriver, so thank you for those suggestions and votes on that. I know a lot of you wanted to just keep it District 2, but this is what won. So there you go. We got Downriver working. And speaking of working, we have this mechanical drill that needs a friend. Needs to be making iron ore as well. We will get there. Maybe today, maybe not today. We'll see what happens. But that is something we absolutely must get to at some point soon, because our medium mines here are not able to supply all of our primitive smelters, even though some of them are producing, not that one, but that one, not that one. We have 3 of these that are producing scrap metal. We need scrap metal to make a whole bunch of stuff, and it's not going to get better unless we throw more beavers at it. And by beavers, I mean mechanical beavers, working in the mechanical drill to do mechanical things. So much to do, so much to see. No backstreets available, though, so we've got to do it ourselves. We also have all of these domesticated brambles here, and all these domesticated brambles here, because I obviously am trying to keep this other district from flooding, so everything's going to work just fine. We'll get there. It's going to be alright. We don't need to really be super worried about it. But other stuff we can do over here. We could put domesticated brambles down in some shallow water or no water at all, depending on how we want to organize things here. And then instead, have this become just blueberries. I think that's probably a smart idea. We do have this dynamite here, B for boom, which the purpose of this originally was for us to put in a wood felling planification lodge, which would fit right here very nicely. Wood felling planification lodge, of course, being the building that allows us to cut down brambles and trees, not these guys. Giant sequoias do have to be felled by the giant sequoia feller, or by mild disease, apparently, because that's still a thing. But putting these guys in here is going to make it just so much easier compared to having a single lumberjack flag. Even if we only ever have one beaver actually working in this, they do get a pretty good bonus, and it's housing that actually serves a purpose. You know we need that. I do think, though, based on the amount of brambles that we currently are not harvesting because we don't have enough, it's just going to make sense for us to take advantage of the space down here that is normally going to be set up as something that's flooded and just grow domesticated brambles. We don't have a ton of extra space everywhere, but having this here is going to be a smart choice. Now, this wood-felling planification lodge in its current configuration can't reach very far down here. But keep in mind that we have options to get to this other side here. If we ever make enough dynamite to actually take care of everything, we can keep blasting this out and then have another path to access down here. But for how this is right now, I think this is fine. In fact, I'll tell you what we're going to do is I'm going to get rid of this domesticated bramble here, and I'm going to unplant this just because they haven't actually built this yet. I'm going to put this closer this way. It's going to be the easiest way for us to handle this. Well, given what we're already doing. That way, if I did want to have some other stuff here that wasn't domesticated brambles, then it wouldn't be a waste of the area of effect of the wood-felling planification lodge. We'll get there when we get there. So progress here is progressing. Progress is progressing. Long day. Very, very slowly. But I think we might be able to get this done before the next drought or bad tide we come into, which would be fantastic. I guess a fair bit of you are a little frustrated with how I've set up these districts with the trading balloons, because these apparently need to be in their own district, just completely separated. We'll get there. We'll get there, but for right now, we just have to do what we have to do. Maybe not the most ideal situation ever, but we're making progress. Things are going to be okay. What isn't making progress is the ENS, which we paused so we wouldn't use so much scrap metal. But a lot of the other stuff is still here. When we want to turn this back on, I don't think right now that is the best course of action. We need to be making science, which the library is currently tasked with, but we don't have brain-boosting salts. And we don't have brain-boosting salts because these buildings that have been making it have been deprioritized, and we don't have strong alcohol because I moved the distillery into the other district, and what we're using to make the strong alcohol isn't really being produced, and it's not being produced because I was tired of the water. Everything just compounds on everything else. That's how it goes. So how do we solve this problem? I had paused everything except the fermentation house, and this is not prioritized, which, yes, we will deprioritize the mushroom growers as jobs and prioritize the buildings for haulers. Some of you get pretty upset about that when that's not taken care of. So there you go. That will allow us to have a beaver in here actually doing fermenting with the chestnuts in the water to make the chestnut beer. But the problem still remains of where the chestnut's coming from. Well, we've got space over here in which to plant some chestnut trees. I think this is probably about the best we could do with that. That is going to require we put a forester in. Fortunately, that is a pretty simple, cheap building for us to build. Not the biggest priority, because this obviously needs to be first, but once that's done, I will plant some chestnut trees through here so we can have chestnuts. They will not be marked for cutting because they will not be cut. But that should, in, I don't know, 2 cycles time, give us a decent bit of chestnuts to come over here and make chestnut beer. We do still have a lot of chestnuts over here, and we're probably going to end up using all of them at some point. But for how things are set up now, this seems to be doing okay. Let's go to triple speed. Get this thing rolling a little bit faster. Okay, now this one has spread, and I didn't want it to spread. Come on. I guess I should have prioritized and then kept up with this. Yeah, so the domesticated brambles do spread if they are unplanted. That is, I guess, shouldn't be a surprise, but you know how these things go. Just get these guys to take this out of here so we don't have to worry about it ever again. And move on from there. I am slightly worried that this is going to... there we go. Yeah, just grab that out of the way for me real quick. The other problems over here that we've kind of created slowly over time are acceptable in terms of beavers being injured, diseased, burned, so on and so forth. I do wish it wouldn't be quite so bad, but, you know, it is what it is. Wood-felling planification lodge. Where is the doorway on that side? I can flip it so the doorway is actually here. Now if I put this here, we have access to a lot more space, even though, you know, it's just this bit versus this bit, everything counts. And if we can have another path connected this way, eventually, that'll give us a little bit more space. So, like I said, every little bit counts, and we can unplant some of these and just let them spread natively. I think for right now we probably don't need to worry about that. And this, I think, should be turned into blueberries, or at least part of it once we have water coming back in. But I really wanted this to, you know, not be flooded at all times before that becomes the thing, so I guess we will see what happens here. According to this, we have 4 vacancies. We have 3 free beds. And then overall we have 5 free beds. So I'm assuming that means, yeah, it's this main district. Yeah, producing beaver babies, as it were. We don't need to completely fill this one up all the time, because some of these jobs are not, strictly speaking, necessary. And I have this triple watertight lodge that is hauler housing, workplace, etc. that is currently turned off. I don't think we need to rush into it too much, because this is also a hauler, this is a hauler, and then we're going to have a worker in here as well. We'll get there. Things are progressing. We don't need to rush too much. Over here we also have the issue of these tanks not being connected. That's because somebody didn't connect the pathways, and then also didn't build all of these platforms here. Alright, come on. So once that's taken care of, we will have a bad water pump here that is going to make a lot more bad water, if it, you know, had anywhere to put it, than the other ones have this entire time. So this bad water pump can go away. The reason I haven't gotten rid of this yet is because the copyist lodge is on top of it. But we're also not using this copyist lodge, so that can go away and go somewhere else. I don't think I have an artist lodge either, so I don't know why I'm so worried about this. Let's take, come on, take this path out, take that out, take that out. Now we have a whole pile of rubble, and right here, easy fix is just to pop that in like so. And then, you know how this goes. These bad water bucketing posts also don't need to exist, so they can go away, because this is all dried out. This is space we can build other things in at some point, but right now is not the biggest priority. 12 pine resin and 2 logs will get us there on this pass-through lodge, so that's good to see. Brambles being planted here. Slowly acquiring materials for this. We do have everything we need, just a matter of the builder beavers doing their building. And here's where I have to make a decision, because it's day 10. It's very likely in the next 5 days we'll enter a drought or a bad tide. I think that's enough time to detonate the land necessary to build another one of these drills. I do now have the science to unlock the iron ore mechanical drill. I think that's going to be the best use of our science right now. We have the materials. I know it was dicey for a while on our metal fasteners, but we do have those now. We have the blueprints for at least one more of these. We've got the gears, we've got the scrap metal, even though we keep saying we don't have enough scrap metal. At this point, we kind of do for what we're trying to do. For what we should be doing, no, we still need more, but everything's fine. I just have to have a place to put this, which easiest way is going to be to just take this space out here, blast it down, connect to the same mess, and just have that be what it's going to be. If I remove this, we lose our water cannon connection to all the stuff here, but we do have a lot of water wheels producing power. The problem then becomes all of these water wheels stop producing power for over here. We do still have, what, 9 of these here. We have a couple over here, we have 1 here. So it's not like it's going to be a power apocalypse or anything, but this is a pretty big chunk of power being produced here we're not going to have access to for as long as it takes to blast everything else out. That being said, I think it's probably okay. I think we're past the point where we can really afford to be worrying about this, just because the lack of iron is really causing problems. Pay no attention to there being 220 right here. That's we've shuffled things around, we've shut off production that we can't keep going. It's just a thing. So I'm going to rip that Band-Aid right off. Goodbye. Goodbye. This will have to get rerouted slightly. But the most important thing now is just getting this taken care of. And because we have the triple dynamites, it's not going to be a terribly difficult thing. I just have to blast this out here. And we have to build some sort of a structure upon which this may sit. So the easy thing to do here is just to put in platforms, so on and so forth. But that might be wasting some space that we don't want to, or maybe can't afford to waste later. But grand scheme of things, it's probably not that big of a deal, and we do need to get this done sometime soon. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to pop that in super easy right there, just to get that connected right to the middle, and then everything else will just come as it does. That will, of course, take time. We'll leave it alone. Come check on things over here. Just about finished. In fact, we're about to watch this get finished in real time in just a moment here. And that's going to be good, because what that's going to allow me to do is open this back up. All this water can flow back through here, refill this pit, flood these things, even though it's not going to kill them. And then it will, of course, come through here. I'll blow this dynamite up. The reason for this being, the water will have a chance to flow into this pool before it flies off the edge of the map. We do need to rebuild this, but it's not the biggest priority right now. I have all these other things going on we have to take care of. It's just good to make some semblance of progress. In fact, we probably can just demolish this primitive dam also, because all this water should be about the same height no matter what. Now, because I know at least a few of you are saying, wait a second, you put a river bath in here, and if it's more than 1 block deep, it's not going to be usable. Well, evaporation's also a thing. Let's not forget. So this would be fine right here. Whether or not this is full doesn't really matter, because at some point, and probably a decent amount of the time, this will be low enough for this to be viable. We do also have this shower and this shower still in the same district, because I moved the district crossing over to here. Stuff's working out. Maybe not, you know, the most picture-perfect way ever, but it is working out. We got our 24 beavers here. We have our 1 deep water pump helping to offset the water supply needs. Long term, probably should change this into another deep water pump. I know we could have put the regular water pumps in, but if we're trying to have a specialized quote-unquote district, if I use the more complicated ones, even though they're a huge pain to build compared to this, this is still, it's every hour you get 4 versus every hour you get 3 with this. That's a big difference when you have a small district you're trying to keep alive. So 2 deep water pumps, and then maybe 1 upgrade right here. Long term, I think, would be just fine for this district. But the most important thing is that it works. And now it does. And this is filling up nicely, and the extra is going off the side here. I don't think we're going to run into too many problems. Just have to keep the main thing the main thing. So domesticated brambles sitting happy and pretty right here. We have our wood felling planification lodge, which means that lumberjack flag goes away. And I'm going to, I guess, unplant all of these. Cut them down as they get cut down and replace them with blueberries, because we have all of this space down here. And these can spread as well. They just have to be gathered by the wood felling planification lodge, which will require, like we said, some extra access over this way. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. But for right now, this is still more than we had when you know, get rid of this. So it works okay. And then these beavers working here, of course, will work faster, clear out some space, and then we can get everything else taken care of here. I just have to try and get everything set up the right way here. Blueberries here will also be just fine. Obviously can't plant underneath these other trees. Is what it is. Let them do what they're going to do, and we move on from there. Just have to hopefully prevent these things from spreading unnecessarily, which of course is going to be a rather large task, but I think we'll be up for it. And if they start going crazy, then we'll just, you know, pull the plug on it. Which, given how this does tend to go, I think I'll just hedge my bets and mark those for removal as well. Can never be too careful as these things go. So other stuff that needs to get addressed today, we've already kind of discussed a lot of it. But I really, really, really would like to solve our iron and specifically the scrap metal problems today, along with all the other stuff we're doing. Yeah, see, I already see this being a problem here. These things coming in, but let's see. Okay, I've got a row of triple dynamites. I will beaver boom them. Get that taken care of as fast as I can so we can... Yeah, see, there we go. Here's that drought approaching warning. So we got a couple things accomplished just in the nick of time. Now we're going to be chasing this stuff, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun times. It's just like old times. Just like old times. Just grab all this garbage out of here. The ones in the middle I'm not so worried about because we're going to have these berry bushes planted on the outsides. Should be a little bit easier to keep up with those since they're going to be blocking stuff off. But oh yes, friends, it's that time again. Let's not put this in triple speed for the time being. Just let them do what they got to do here. So now this is going to again be way too deep, but it won't be for long when we're in the drought. And the forester's done planting chestnut trees. That's really going to help us out here. We do have strong alcohol going in for the human meat transactions. We do have Firefly making the glowing fluid. The glowing fluid has to have somewhere to go, which, as we discussed, is the GMO growing lab. But we're still not able to do that because we don't have the science. And why don't we have the science? We've already talked about this. I won't go through the whole thing again, but the brain-boosting salts are going to be a very important part of this, which requires strong alcohol. So again, there's reasons for all of this. And we're going to get there. I don't even need to say it. Just don't even need to say it. Everything else over here is working pretty nicely. We have almost 1,700 mushroom stew, up to 7,000 food overall. So, food problem technically still not solved, but it's so much better than it was just a few in-game days ago. Last episode before that, obviously a huge improvement. Yeah, let's take a pause here. Make sure I've got all of these extraneous bits marked for removal before things get truly out of hand. I think we've got this taken care of. We just have to stay on top of things. Yeah, see, there we go. It's only 25%. See, when they get full grown, that's when the problems begin. If you can just stop that, nip it in the bud, so to speak. Literally, because it's plants, then you're golden. Since we're sitting here watching this, I will get this in triple speed. Mark those all for removal. Hit pause again, just because that's, I guess, my coping mechanism for all this garbage. And hopefully get this thing hemmed in right there. I think we might be good, folks. Might be good just as soon as these disappear here. That one, and that one going to be the last real menaces for us to deal with. There we go. There we go. Brambles managed. This one's not going to grow out anywhere. That's fine. So, 24 days-ish, we'll have berries available here, which is going to mean we have to have someone to pick them. So that will require that we put in, well, someone to pick them. We have a lot of options for that. This exotic seed storage probably doesn't need to be here, but it's the only place on the map where they're currently stored, so we'll see what happens. But already, big improvements made there. I do feel like since this is about to be a drought, probably would benefit from having this overflow dam put back in place. But there's a lot of stuff that's got to get picked up here. So let's do our favorite trick to move this to an accessible spot. I guess that's fine. So they'll get to work on that at a time of their choosing. This probably doesn't need to be here. We've already talked about that. I don't need to go through all that again. So during the drought, when we have time, I'm going to take one of these lodges out, replace it with a deep water pump 2, and get things going. The bigger concern, though, with 356 beavers is we only have 6,300 water because I'd paused so many of these pumps because I had to put the beavers everywhere else. The eternal problem. You never pump enough water. I know. Mechanized water pumps are going to continue to be the answer here, but I have to have places to put them. Ideally, not pumping from the reservoir that is going to also have to be irrigation during a drought. Which brings us all the way back to something we talked about episode ago, 2 episodes ago, is that I need to deepen this river so that we have space for extra water storage capacity. And specifically, we need to have things that are not going to be pumpable. We can deepen under the pumps. That'll get you, I don't know, a tiny bit extra, but the real benefit's going to come for irrigation purposes when you have a 3x3 space that isn't able to be pumped and can just evaporate normally. On normal difficulty, I'm not going to have any droughts long enough to evaporate a single 3x3, assuming it's completely full anyway. So that is a-okay. That being said, if we still have just not a 3x3, but something slightly smaller, in 9 days that's probably not going to evaporate anyway. Or if it does, it's not going to evaporate fast enough to actually kill anything. So the easy thing to do, take a 2x2 here and a 2x2 here, should keep these trees pretty healthy. This does still have a little bit of irrigation, but I can do a 2x2 here. So this is only 12 pieces of dynamite. We have, well, now we have 32. We keep making it. That's going to really help things out there. And then when we get over to this area, it's not really as crucial that we keep things irrigated so much as it is crucial that we just have additional capacity. So, since this is the area with most of the pumps, we do have stuff here. If we just blast this entire area down one more level, then that's what they pump from, and they have a little bit more. And then these areas that are already going to be down and not connected at the same level won't be pumped out. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying. I'm trying to get things explained correctly, but I sometimes don't even really understand myself how to say them. It's fine. For now, this is a good start. Nothing's going to get fixed in a day. Room wasn't built, etc. Now we have all these tanks looking here, ready to go. Need to actually process more bad water because we're not using it quickly enough. Part of that is being imported into this district for this mess. So we're not making any bad water mushrooms in here. We probably need to have a couple more mushroom growers. Maybe, if I find somewhere to stick them. We'll see what happens. But the big thing now is this no longer has to have the contamination prevention. Because look at, I guess I could just show you like this. The contamination only extends out to about here, whereas previously it would come all the way into here. So if I switch this just to regular, we take this all the way back up, there is a very small amount, like these two right here, that are going to become contaminated. But that's fine with me because now I only have to have regular water brought in. That's it. So that's a lot less for this guy to do. A lot less to keep up with. Problems can be solved if you just have a little bit of patience to reach the solution. So that's going to be fine right there. I do need to make sure I have more water storage. Okay, they just haven't filled this up. Ah, because that's not set to obtain. Well, at least one of these is going to have to be set to obtain and prioritized. Not all of them, but at least one would be a smart idea. Different things for beavers to accomplish, I suppose. Chestnut trees continue to be grown. This is working. They're not going to have this finished in any reasonable amount of time. It's fine, is what it is. But the big question And there's just this one left. We got somebody... Oh, never mind. I thought that was dynamite. Well, now, see, now I have to wait and see if anyone's going to bring any more explosives here. And it looks like somebody's carrying some. Is that all of them? It sure is. All right, well, get on out of here, because I'm about to set this thing off. Let's go. Nobody blow up? Thank you. All right, cool. Now it's time to pause, because we have an opportunity to pop in the mechanical drill for the iron ore. And all I have to do is move this path out of the way. There we go. Remember, this is not Update 5 Waterbeavers. There's connections on both sides here. So there you go. Iron ore. It's going to take a while for this to get built. We already knew that, but it's connected. And that is what we needed to have access to here. Now we have this power shaft needs to go somewhere else. The somewhere else that it is going to most likely be easiest to stick it into is right here. Just bear with me, folks. It's taken all my brain power to try and construct all this. Remember that these are not adaptive power shafts like we have in Update 7. So we do have to be a little bit cognizant of what is going on here. That's just the way that goes. So for right now, this setup that is admittedly kind of suboptimal is still going to be probably the simplest, relatively simplest way to get this accomplished. So we can leave that alone for the time being. Check and make sure everything is looking good over here. We definitely need more rice since we're actually using it again, which means I need to have somewhere else to plant it. There's a little bit more space over here. I had kind of chosen not to mess with this too much just because we have so much else going on. But rice is very important for us making half-fermented sake and also food stuff since we have 1,200 of the rice balls. So I think, as much as I said we don't want to be growing rice over here anymore, we might actually need to. I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see. Also, why do we not have these guys planted down here? I guess that's because I have these guys set to harvest only. So now I want to plant, because there's no pumpkins planted, there's no nenifars, and we need that stuff. Because now we're running out of methane, and the balloons need that. That is definitely not ideal. But we'll make it work. Triple speed, I guess, is fine at this point. I do wish they'd have this finished. You know, actually 14 logs is possibly doable in one day, assuming they can, yeah. Well, now that it's only 7, yeah, you bet. You better believe we're going to get that taken care of. Good. Excellent. Very good. This is going to take longer, though. We already knew that was going to be a problem. So, again, the problem with the science we already discussed. But if we could just get to the point where I can unlock a couple more things, we're going to have so much more going on. So many more things available. But you kind of can't rush this. Got to do some sort of other optimization with various things. Looks like we are just about ready to blast this away. I really wanted that to be done to at least a certain degree before we had the drought start. So that it wouldn't be the end of the world if everything got completely blasted out, sucked dry, and then left for dead. Things still looking good over here. Yeah, those died because of poison, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. That's the strong alcohol, man. You gotta have it, but I don't want to make it in this district. I just want to use it for the alchemist here. I think in due time, especially when this can get up and running correctly, we're probably gonna be fine. I'm going to turn these back on now. And hopefully they can make that work. Pollution resistance factor isn't in short supply either, so I guess I probably... yeah, one beaver here is probably fine. These guys are going to need all the help they can get, and all the water they can get, too. So, we already talked about this. During the drought, I am going to replace that, but for right now, this is what we have. And this is finished, which is a very nice surprise because that's going to give us plenty of water to pump out. And the bamboo and the brambles are going to be perfectly happy no matter what the water level is in here. So we don't have to worry about this pumping this dry. It's just all part of the thing that's available. Okay, progress continuing acceptably for this. I'm actually kind of surprised. Oh, the connection is going to be an interesting problem to solve. Drill bits. Drill bits are going to be an issue sooner rather than later. And none of these are currently set to make drill bits because I was so low on metal. Let's see which one is... Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I guess I'll just let this one finish. And then I will change it over to drill bits. That's probably just the easiest thing to do. Alright, there we go. So yes, methane, like we mentioned before, need to be making more of that. So hopefully they can plant some more of those nenifars. We'll expand that space out. Scrap metal, we kind of have some now, which I guess is fine. But if we don't have drill bits, we can't drill, obviously. And then I have to just put a whole bunch more beavers in these mines, which they're not even fully staffed anyway. We're just kind of operating on a shoestring budget, if you will. It's fine. The pumping situation definitely needs to be addressed. I don't really have a lot of other spots to stick one of these. So, I mean, right here probably would make the most sense, but I would have to have... Yeah, I'd have to have a staircase. Spiral staircase is going to work fine. I love the spiral staircase, man. It's actually a pretty smart idea. So, oh, you know what? This isn't a double. This needs to be a triple. And then these need to be doubles. That needs to be singles. And I guess... no, I probably can't put another one here. So this is probably going to end up being it for this spot. Plenty to get to. No need to be super concerned about it. We'll just let it be what it's going to be. So we got 0.3 days left until this drought begins. How are we already almost 40 minutes into this video? I hope the pace of this is acceptable. I do try to get a whole bunch of stuff done. Sometimes I have to slow the game down. Sometimes I have to just focus on other stuff. But we've made some pretty good progress the last couple of episodes. So appreciate your patience as we deal with various problems. Now that we have 0.2 days left, I think I'm going to go ahead and raise that, and that should get us where we need to be. Actually, before... Oh, they did finish both of these. I should have done that a lot earlier. Okay, well, you know what? That's fine. That's going to give us our little pockets. We'll continue blasting out the rest of this at some other point in time. Yeah, I think we can feel pretty good about this. How long of a drought are we going to have? Alright, 6 days. I think we're going to be okay. 6 days, 6,300. We might run out at the very end, but I believe we'll be fine. Since it is only 6 days, I am not going to pause this mechanized water pump. I'm also not going to unpause the other pumps that are currently paused. But what I can do is I can shift some of these guys into other buildings. We have 3, 6, 9 of these guys right here that are living in a deep water pump that maybe might want to live somewhere else. Or maybe they don't want to live somewhere else, but I'm going to make them anyway. Just have to see if there's any other buildings that might make more sense. Jobs-wise, obviously, there's any number of places they could go. Could always use more haulers, but we do have 30 of them right here in the upgrades. And then I do have these builders tower segments that are all paused. I could shove them into if we felt so inclined. But again, 6 days. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just leave it alone. And we'll see how bad things get. Don't think there's any cause for concern. Yeah, let's just do that. We'll start the process of trying to build all this up. So we beef or boomed that. This guy's sleeping on the stairs. Get off my stairs. That's fine. Just fall on the ground. Things are going to be a-okay. Except now I realize I've made a mistake here because they can't. They're not going to be able to access this. And it's not like they were going to be able to anyway, but I think this is worth just putting in a temporary platform to take care of all of that. We'll move on to other things. What kind of progress are we making here? There's no power. How are we already out of... Really? At the very beginning... Alright, I gotta pause here. Is our power consumption really that big that it now... Okay. Okay. That's what I was afraid of when I removed these gravity batteries over here. I guess I should have done something about that. So... This isn't built yet. I don't really have the ability to do too much else with it. But since this is not built, I think... No. Man, I have dynamite. Well, no matter what, we've already basically completely screwed up everything by not having power here. If I put a gravity battery here, it's not going to matter to this other side because the thing that connects them is not finished. But since this is only needing basically just logs and a little bit of scrap metal, I think it's going to have a chance of being finished. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this double dynamite out. I don't think I have a piece that will allow that to be a down and to the side without being... Yeah, I don't have a universal thing here. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Platform here, just to get a little bit of extra height. And then a regular gravity battery. They're probably not gonna finish this, you know, before anything's done, but put a gravity battery in here. Even though I can't connect to this back side here, I can take this straight power shaft out and replace it with something else. For now, I don't think this is ever going to be necessary, but I feel like if I have the chance to, you know, create some sort of connection here, I probably should do it. We'll just add this to the list of stuff that needs to get done and move on with our lives. That's a huge bummer, though. That is, that's going to cause some problems for us in a very big way. Well, at any rate, we're not going to use any drill bits if the drills are stopped, but we're also not going to make any... Oh, man, we're not going to make any drill bits either. And everything that's making food and making all this stuff all needs power. Ugh, what a pain. Well, at least this is done. And then this is also done. We can almost, just as soon as this is done, we can almost start building another mechanized water pump. Ugh, live and learn. Or in my case, live and don't learn. This forester can now be paused because we've planted all these chestnut trees. I didn't want to take up all the space, but just get a couple of these in here. So now District 3, which we will be voting for soon, name-wise, has 6 empty beds and 4 empty jobs. I do not have the triple watertight lodge opened up yet. That will be replacing... actually, won't be replacing. It's just going to be in supplement to other stuff here. So maybe I don't need to be super worried about this. Just kind of leave it alone. We need more beavers anyway, right? But the water pumping situation definitely needs to improve, which is why I'm going to continue pumping this and then put another one in here and just not worry about it if I don't have to. I can't change this irrigation. Come on, let me click on this, please. Yeah, I can't change this back to regular because there is still bad water that's going to come through here. But it's fine. Since we are here, this Architect's Lodge was originally just an excuse to cover up the bad water pump. And this is no longer necessary because we have this mechanized one that can be just tremendously faster. Every hour it gives us 30. Every hour this one gives us 3. It's time to say goodbye. Now this is just empty space. Doesn't need to be here. But I'm not going to fill it in because that's a huge pain in the butt. The thing I can do now, because of how this is set up, though, is I can put in stuff that's going to make it possible for this not to get as infected with bad water quite as easily. Even though we have this defense here, there's going to be times where this isn't going to be accessible, and you know how that goes. So, we have a space here that is one crappy platform, wooden staircase, wooden staircase, wooden staircase. If this is removed, then I have a 2 deep by 3 long. I hope that made sense the way I described that. I have all this space that needs to be done something with. I'm going to leave the staircase in place for right now. There are all these materials in the ground we can gather up before we remove everything. I know these are going to be useful for other things. We need to decide what's going to go in this hole. There's a couple buildings, like I've said, that would fit in here kind of nicely. If we want to take the cooking tent out, we could maybe blast something else out here and put in a larger building. But probably, since I took out the architecture lodge, I probably should turn on one of these. I actually don't know if we have any that are operating right now. No, they're both paused. Okay, so this one here, kind of centrally located. Currently set to make scaffolding. I will turn that back on. The other one, I think, is still set to ENS. No, that was set to oversized water pump blueprint. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. It's paused anyway. That's fine. So we've eliminated 2 buildings for housing and 2 buildings that have jobs. So we probably should try to replace them with at least some sort of jobs. I have 4 homeless beavers now, really. Interesting. I wasn't anticipating that to be a deal. Let's turn on one of these builder's tower segments. It's going to give us some more housing availability and also a couple of jobs. So that looks like that's good. We've got 2 extra beds. That's fine. We've had a day of pumping in a drought and the water is still up like that. I guess this is fine. Set this off here. Now the problem is going to be I've got a... Oh, I've got to take these power shafts out. I wasn't anticipating this being a problem. Okay, well, now's the time to do it, so... Oh, boy, that's going to be... That's going to be something, because I gotta take all these out. They're not gonna work right here. There's probably a better way to do this, but the way this is set up now... Yes, I'm putting a 4-way intersection, even though I can't really put one over here. Don't worry about it. It's fine. That'll go there. This will have to be an upward here and then a downward. That's fine. So I'll give them something to do. This, of course, will have to have a staircase. I think our builders will have enough resources to do this. Just have to get all the pieces picked up. Do what we can do. How are we looking on water levels? Still kind of high here. Well, that's fine. Could be worse. Berry bushes are not even close. Not even close. Chestnut numbers looking good, though. Glowing fluid probably needs to have a storage. What do you even put glowing fluid in? I guess that's something I really should have figured out prior to this, huh? I don't think it goes in a pile. No, so it must go in a warehouse. Oh, it's a liquid. It goes in a tank. Alright, that was stupid of me. So, glowing fluid. Just reminds me of, what's that Power Thirst stupid college humor video from, I don't even know, 20 years ago? Glowing sweat. Yeah, so that's this. Yeah, we're gonna need to have just some sort of local storage for this. So that's why that's like that, so it can come out of there. It's, again, it's fine. We don't really need to be that worried about it. Let them do what they're going to do. Hey, they finished the iron ore. Except there's no power. Cool. Great. But you know what they're also almost finished with? Is this gravity battery. And once that gets hooked up, there is going to be some sort of power. So I am glad that got taken care of. Let's take this out here. You know what the heck. A 4-way intersection just in case. You never know. Don't have enough nenifars here to make methane. I did tell them to plant stuff. Did they actually? They did. Cool. Alright, no time like the present to expand your nenifar growing. So I got 4. That'll be another 5 for 9. I have to leave this accessible here. I guess I technically don't have to, but should have enough dynamite to do most of that. They should be able to still reach all of that once it's blown up to plant more. We're slowly working on stuff. We're solving problems. 4 days left. You know, levels here seem to be fine. This obviously isn't pumping because there's no power. I wonder whose fault that was. But things are looking pretty good here. Just need a couple of logs. Just need another 11 metal fasteners and some metal blocks, but we definitely have those. They just have to bring them in. Alright, I'm feeling a little bit better about this. This also does not have drill bits, which obviously, because we haven't made any, but it will still transmit power even if it can't use it because everything will be mechanically connected. So we just have to wait, as one does. Oh, I forgot there's more explosives over here I was going to do something with. Well, we can still start the process of clearing this space out, planting additional green peas, because they are going to be very important for other types of things we're making, and move on from there. Dare I check and see? Not an iota of strong alcohol. But it is being made. And it should be able to, you know, be used to make frozen human meat, which is very important for our firefly friends. It's actually, yeah, actually looking good. This is almost done also. Cool. Again, glowing fluid, important to have. We just, you know, have to be able to do stuff. I'm also growing concerned that even though we have a, you know, a storage for strong alcohol, they might just be drinking it instead of putting it in the alchemist here. But there also isn't a beaver working in this, so let's bring this back to normal. We're well within our margin of error on our jobs, so that should be fine. You know what? I'm going to prioritize this by haulers and see what happens. It's not the most dangerous thing we've ever done. 3 days left, and you know, it looks like with just the manual pumping, things are going to be just fine. But we are down to only 2,300 water, which, remember, we started at about 6,000, and that is concerning, to say the least. Plenty that we need to be, you know, keeping track of here. Getting closer, getting a whole lot closer on this gravity battery. That's going to give us, hopefully, because this is significantly high enough, that should be able to run our machinery for the rest of this drought without issue. I'm feeling positive about it, at the very least. So we shouldn't really be that concerned about it. This guy is still pumping. Seems fine. Just kind of nervous about this. That's never happened before. Yeah, continuing that. Water levels. Almost low enough for me to take this out and put in another deep water pump. So let's examine what it takes to build one of these again, because I can never remember. I almost have all the materials to do this, so I think we can feel pretty good just as soon as this is, you know, a viable thing to get these guys in here. In fact, we don't need to wait any longer, so I'm going to open this, drain off a little bit. In fact, you know, we'll just leave it open. Doesn't matter, because this is going to keep pumping out of the hole no matter what. So this should, you know, maybe waste a little bit of that on that side, but this will be just fine. This will allow us to start very soon, as soon as that kind of equals out. Putting in something else with 2 days left should be enough time. Look at this! Glowing fluid just streaming into this medium tank. Plenty of room for the fireflies to do their thing. And I see science creeping up slowly, which means some strong alcohol was in fact transited across here. Yeah, look at that. We got some brain boosting salts, and now they can actually work on it. And wait, we have beavers who aren't working? We have extra beavers Be still, my beating heart. Okay. Let's bring a couple more of those beavers into library. And by a couple, I mean all of them. Created a little job deficit again. Yeah, we're doing good now, folks. And this is just about done. Just need 4 more metal blocks. We're going to get there. We are going to get there. Why is there still water over here? I didn't think this was going to be a problem. Okay, the other question is why is the spiral staircase not buildable? Because it's connected to a pass-through lodge. What's up with that, bud? What's up with that? Oh, do I have to just place this again? It should be fine. It's right on the other side. Oh, you know what? I bet it is. Because this isn't actually reachable from anywhere the beavers can actually stand. Okay. I'm tired of waiting. I'm going to get rid of that. It might technically flood this a tiny bit, but that's the way she goes. While we are waiting, because this just has to get built. Staircase. Spiral staircase. Once the spiral staircase is done, it's going to be fine. But I need to start building the second deep water pump, which can actually be built the same time as the stairs. Not going to be a big deal. I just need them to start on this. We have 1.4 days. Things should be hopefully getting a little bit better. That can stay low like it is. Everything is fine here. Still 2 more metal blocks, really? Well, I guess I can't be mad about it. They finished this? Good. That goes away, and then pump-wise, mechanized water pump. How many of these do I still have? Because I need to make sure I don't run out of them. Okay, good. Now this gets to get built. Get that popped in there. Probably should have slightly better infrastructure for this, but it is what it is. Just leave that alone. Alright, so that staircase is done. That means this one should be next over here. Click, please. Please. Why are you not clicking? There you go. Yeah, just get that thing finished. And that should solve a lot of our problems. But wait, you might say. You just put a water pump over a path where it can't pump. You would be absolutely correct. And that's okay because this is able to be moved to any other kind of location. So, easy problem solving. Just run it around. No issues. Now this is the most important thing that needs to get done. But at least they can access this through the other side. Love to see that. Now these berries are dry, but they're not going to be dead. They're alright. They'll survive. They always do. Now this is in the process of being built. It will, of course. You fill in the blank. 1 day left. Look at this. Look at this. We didn't even have to pause these pumps. Now the mechanized pump probably would have drained it super quick, but I feel like we can be pretty happy with our result here. And I don't have a way to get down into this to do much of anything on blasting this out any deeper. But that probably should be a long-term goal of ours, should we find ourselves with extra dynamite. That doesn't need to be used for this. Let's blow this up. Give ourselves a little bit more in the way of lotuses. Every little bit counts, and I know we could continue blowing more of this up, but, you know, one step at a time. Food's sitting pretty nice, still at 6,000, and while the water is very low, I expected it to be much worse. So, it's a good thing we had that still going here. Coal situation is not great because we don't we don't have anything coming in from the mechanical drill. And this still isn't done. It's waiting on the single metal block, and I know we have it. These guys are just, I guess, a little bit too busy. But it's about to be not a drought anymore anyway, so, you know, that solves a whole lot of problems. When it actually, you know, does solve problems. And that's gonna be that. Alright. Yeah, the planks are gonna take a while, I suppose. But it's fine. All we have to do is just not flood everything. So we actually do have the luxury of closing this because all this stuff is going to live just fine and there's still water to pump here. We can close this until the deep water pump is finished. which may or may not be in our lifetimes, but that's fine. Cycle 45 begins. And with it, hopefully, a whole lot of stuff solved. Click, thank you. Floodgate dam can be opened. Get water flowing through here again. Get those wheels turned on. Everything's coming through here. Should refill nicely. Yeah, we got all sorts of stuff still to do. Blow this up. Plant some more green peas, as one does. That being connected is very nice. And now we just need drill bits, which we've already discussed, but now we get to watch the process of drill bits being made as soon as we have enough methane, which unfortunately may not be super quick, depending on how quickly we can synthesize it here. Yeah, I need more nenifars. Oh, some of these are actually almost done. Now, I have methane here. If I wanted to pause this, I probably could. So that is what I will do. I will pause these guys. Because it's fine. It's not going to remove our progress. It's just going to stop it. So then the methane can be taken out and traded back across to here, except there's nowhere to put the methane, which has to be put in the gas tank. But do I have 70? I do not. I have 8. I have 8 metal blocks. When we get 70, we probably need to build a gas tank. But we're not quite there. So bad water came in here before we could, gather all this stuff up off the ground. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. We'll figure out something to do with this next episode, I guess, unless you have any ideas. Feel free to let me know. I know there's a couple buildings, industrial-wise, that would fit in here that also consume power, and would like to have the, the depth. I want to say the paper mill might be a good candidate for that, depending on how it. No, it has that thing in the front that sticks out. But if we did a little bit more blasting, we could fit another one of these in here, and then just hook it up to these water wheels without too much weeping or gnashing of teeth. I think that's fine. Hopefully. I just, I am kind of concerned about the methane situation. It is set to force import, but I don't have storage for it. So we may just kind of be at the mercy of how much methane we can actually produce on this site. If it doesn't have an excuse to leave the district to go into these balloons because they're paused, then maybe it'll stay domestic, I suppose. But they still need more nenifars, and these are not quite ready. Tomorrow in game they will be. But I think, yes, it's already about an hour long. Let me just check my notes here. Okay, here's one last thing we can do today. The well-being saga continues, and I am a little bit embarrassed to admit that I had not ever thought of this before, but there's one thing that every beaver on this map will have to do regularly, no matter where they live, and that is bathe. This district has 3 river baths right next to each other, and every beaver that comes into these river baths has to descend this staircase. So, if in this exact spot right here, we put a little bit of well-being stuff, or decorations, or something. Yes, I know this looks really stupid, but every beaver is going to have to walk through this at least a little bit. Even if the rest of this stuff is too expensive for us. Oh, okay, that's what that's called. We'll talk about that later. Point being, we'll be able to do something. I know it's not going to satisfy everybody, but that is a small thing we can do. Alright, this isn't going to be done today at all. No chance. But you know what is done? Is this gravity battery with a cool 50,000 HPH. Now that we have water flowing through all of this, we're going to need to make a little bit more power, which I guess is a good time for us to start the process of building additional wheels. So we'll get we'll get that going just as fast as we can. But I'm not the gingerbread man, so we're going to move over here. Take a look at this. Closer than I thought it would be. Not going to lie, so that's good. These chestnut trees are going to take forever to grow, man. But we have chestnut beer. We have a strong alcohol. We've already seen that we have plenty of brain-boosting salts. And stuff's being produced. And science is being produced. We have 338. Remember, we have to have 700 science. Not 700 science. Where did I get that from? 120 science for the gas tank. 700 science was something else. Was that the, yeah, the GMO growing lab. So I think that's going to be a good goal for next episode to get into that now that the science has started coming back a little bit. Hey, drill bits are being made. I guess we made some methane. Or they found it. They imported it or something. So that's good. And this, despite the animation occurring, is not actually mining right now. Because it doesn't have any drill bits. But it will soon. And it also is consuming 400 HP. Which, you know, is a lot. But we're going to have more of this stuff taken care of all in due time. How's this? How's this? Alright. 7 scrap metal, 5 metal fasteners. It will just, I guess, be a slow thing. But here's where we end this episode. I know some of you guys really like the long ones, but I'm trying not to, you know, get too crazy with this stuff. Trying not to overburden things and make sure we can still get some good stuff done. So, and we did. We got a lot of problems, not necessarily solved, but significantly improved. We've restored the supply chain for the brain-boosting salts, which has restored science, which will help us get so many other places. Food continues to improve. Water is in the process of being improved, but is very much looking like it's going to be fine. And, you know, things are just looking really nice. Small steps, incrementally. Definitely going to be a good move for everybody here. But again, like I said, that's all the time we have for this one. I do appreciate you guys sticking with the series, giving helpful, insightful comments, and of course the Beard Boosters subsidizing all of this stuff here so we don't have to worry about chasing the algorithm or what have you. Just having fun with the beavers and trying to promote a positive and uplifting community whenever possible, whenever I don't make stupid mistakes in games. But yeah, truly cannot do it without those folks, and I really, really appreciate them, and I appreciate you too, even if you're not on that list. Just you being here is enough, and I'm glad we get to spend some time together. But that being said, how many times have I said that being said? We're out of time for this one. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Whatever it is you're doing, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you back in this series on Monday with a name for District 3. The poll for that should be going up soon. And that's it. We'll see you later, friends. Bye-bye.